Hello, everybody. My name is Alan Urizar, and I want to welcome you today to another webinar, Monday webinar. I hope you guys are doing great, and I hope you guys had good holidays, good Christmas, and you've been spending time with the family and enjoying that time with the family. So, welcome again. This is the last webinar of the year, and I'm very excited because, as you can see, I have a different background today because I'm actually in Austin. I got here yesterday, and it's a very exciting time. We're talking about a lot of different new changes, not only for myself, for my business, but also for just one time now being able to help from here from Austin and work very close with Seth and the team. So I'm very excited, and today we're gonna talk about 9 common mistakes that we make as entrepreneurs, as Amazon business owners, and these 9 common mistakes that we need to avoid for 2019. So I hope everybody is ready to learn, and I hope you guys can see me and hear me. If you can say hi, I don't see anybody in the chat yet. But I do see a few of you guys that are watching live now. So welcome, and I hope I can see you here in a minute or so. If you want to say hi, there you go. Alex Tolik is here. Good. How are you guys? And welcome to the Monday webinar. So now that I know that you guys are there and you guys can hear me and hopefully see me, I'm going to start my presentation. I'm going to share my screen and start my presentation so we can start going through all of these mistakes that, to be honest with you, I have made in my business. So I want to make sure that you don't make these mistakes in the next year. So we start the year on the right foot, and we're ready to crush it in 2019. So let me share my screen, and we're going to start the presentation. All right. So yeah, I think you guys can see my screen. So 9 common mistakes to avoid in 2019, how it affects Amazon sellers, and what do you need to do. Number 1, running for the fads. And also I kind of include lack of difference on this point, on this first mistake. One is trying when we're starting up, we're looking for products, and we're looking for we have ideas of different things that we want to do, and we catch up to to the new trending toy, or the new trending new electronic gadget, and sometimes we don't do enough research, we don't do differentiation, and sometimes we run into products and we start launching products that, one, we haven't done any research, two, we just get excited because a lot of people is selling these products, and the perfect example is the fidget spinner. You guys, if you're new and if you're starting up, you probably you didn't see these, but the experience this year was in 2017. There was a period of about 2-3 months that were a very popular toy started selling very well. A lot of people started launching products, but nobody was doing any differentiation or major differentiation. People were selling the same kind of toy with just different colors, but everything was the same. There was not a lot of differentiation. And then this was just a very small window where everybody was trying to sell. And then, as you can see here on the screen, on the graphic, everything just went up, and then it just vanished. So, when we're starting up, we have to make sure that we don't run into all of these, fads. We want to make sure that we do proper research. We understand the market. We know the competition. We know everything we need to know to be able to sell on that market for a long time. That's what we want. We want to make sure that we understand the market so we can sell for a very long time. So that's number 1. Number two is not taking time to do research, and all of these it kind of ties down one with another one, because if you just go for the first thing that is exciting, um, you most of the time you're not going to take the time to do any good research and understand that market, and that happens to all of us. We wanna launch products, we wanna start selling, and sometimes we don't take the time to go step by step and do actual research. So we want to make sure that we understand not just the numbers, but we also learn how to read all these numbers, learn how to use all of these tools that we have. And of course, you have access to all the training here. You have access to a lot of different resources and tools that we use. So we want to make sure that when we see something like this graphic, we understand these numbers. Is something that we can explain to somebody else what all of these numbers mean. And so we want to take the time to first learn all the criteria that we need to be looking for. We need to learn how the software works, how all of these applications work, and also learn what all of these numbers mean for our business. So we need to be always thinking about, what does this mean for my business? Can these numbers not guarantee me, but give me enough information so I can make a good decision and buy a product that is going to be a long-term product? So we want to make sure that we take the time to do proper research, understand the tools, and then number three, or the mistake that we do, the number three, is we try to scale too fast. So we start looking for products, we find two, three products, we start analyzing those products, and then we decide we're going to launch two products, at the same time. And we don't take the time to really focus on 100% on one product, make sure that we have everything, make sure that we have all the things that we need to do on one product. So we try to scale too fast instead of launching one product and then working on that product until it's stable, it's bringing enough sales, you're being able to optimize that product, and then thinking about getting a second product. Sometimes, and this is a mistake that I have done before, we try to scale too fast. We launch too many products at the same time. We don't have enough resources. We don't have enough capital to maintain sales for two, three products, and so all the things start getting overwhelming. So we want to make sure that we don't try to scale too fast. We take everything step by step, and we make sure that we focus on one product until it's working, 100% before we start thinking about a second product. Number four, it's going too broad, or going broad too fast, and this also ties with number three, because we need to make sure that when we launch a product, if we do proper research, we don't run into this problem. I don't know if any of you guys have had this problem that you see on the screen right now. You launch a product with 200 units, 300 units, or sometimes even 100 units, and the first thing that happens is that we run out of stock, and then we're thinking about a second product, or we probably launch two products, but we run out of stock on those two products. And what happens when we run out of stock? All of our hard work, all of our launching strategies, pretty much they don't mean anything at that point, because if we need, once we get stuck on one product, we're gonna have to do another promotion. We're gonna have to start working on that product. Sometimes our ranks go down. So going too broad, or going broad too fast, sometimes is not a good idea. We always need to be thinking, okay, I'm gonna launch this product. I have 300 or 500 units that I'm gonna have on my inventory for my first order. When do I have to start thinking about getting my second order for the first product, for the same product? How many units do I need to be selling before I start talking to my manufacturer or my supplier about making the next order, and working on that second order to get into the Amazon warehouse before we run out of stock, so that everything that we do, all the promotions, all the ranking strategies, all the PPC that we spend launching a product, is not in vain. So we have to think about, we're gonna be we're not gonna we don't want to scale too fast. We want to focus on launching one product, especially if we're starting up and it's our first product. We want to make sure that we focus 100% on that product. We want to make sure that we don't run out of stock on that product, and we want to make sure that we can stable that listing enough, and get it ranking enough where we know how many sales we're getting every day, we know how much inventory levels we have, we know when to do the next order, and then after that, then we can scale so we don't run into this product of having empty shelves on our store. Number 5, we do not focus on optimization, and that's a mistake that again, every seller at one point has done this, and we can see that on big companies, even big companies where you find listings like this one, two pictures, not really very high quality pictures. They don't really tell you anything. The bullet points are just very weak. They don't have any information. They're not really trying to sell the product. They're just listing products just because they want to be on Amazon. And of course, sometimes they're gonna sell the products because of the brand name, but we need to make sure that we're working on listing optimization. We want to make sure that we're working on picture quality. I don't know if you've ever find a product on Amazon. I have found a product where the quality of the picture looks almost like this. You can very clearly see that the quality of that picture is very, very bad. And of course, that when we find those kind of products, when we're doing our research, that's a good thing for us because we know we can do a lot better. We know we're going to have high quality pictures. But if we forget that we have to have high quality pictures, we might end up being one of those sellers, that has a listing like that has a listing with no description, or very, there's no, the bullet points are not there, the pictures are low quality and only 2 pictures. So we want to make sure that we focus on listing optimization, picture quality. We have a differentiation. We have chosen a good market where we know we can compete. It's not too competitive. We focus on optimizing our campaigns, our PPC campaigns, and all of that. And this is sometimes we don't want to start focusing on this or trying to figure this out once we have the product on Amazon. We want to make sure we have all of these before we start selling the product. Before we launch the product. So that's a very good, very, very important point. And I know sometimes we make this mistake, so we want to make sure that we avoid this for 2019. Number 6, you have to know your numbers. Knowing your numbers is the number 1 priority. After you find a good product, you have to know if you have a good profit margin, if you have a good percentage or margin, or if not profit margin. If you have to make sure that your ad ACOS is, you can optimize that to a good number, a good percentage. You have to know how many promotions you're going to run, how much you're going to spend in promotions. All of those numbers, you need to figure that out before before you launch the product. You need to know your numbers. If you're launching a product and somebody asks you, what is your profit? It's $6.25. What is your margin? It's 40% margin. And my ACOS, I started at 78%, but I'm working on getting the ACOS on my PPC down to 19% because that's where I want to be. And how many promotions. So a lot of people also don't know, or don't understand what is a pound. A pound is not a pound for product. And sometimes, we run into this mistake where we want to be, we know that we want to pay low shipping, so we choose a product that is at 1 pound, and then by the time or your FBA fees and everything, you find out that your FBA fees are really high, but that's because after with FBA fees, a pound plus the weight of the box or the shipping box, it's, your product is over a pound. So all of these numbers, you want to make sure that you understand and you know all of these before you launch your product. That way, for each sale that you make, if it's organic, you have a good, this margin, this profit, you have all of these numbers. And if it's a PPC sale, or if it's a sale that you got through doing any promotions, you know how much you're spending, how much you're making, how many sales, what's the inventory levels that you have, so you can manage and run your business, a very good business. All right. So number 7, a lot of people focus on looking for the perfect product. And this was a mistake that I did for many months, almost 5 months. I was looking at the beginning when I started doing private label. I started focusing on looking for the perfect product. And I spent so much time trying to find a perfect product, and I will find good products that had very good numbers. It was a very a product with a lot of demand. It had very low competition, but I was still looking for that perfect product. And when I learned that there's no perfect product, you want to find a good market, and then once you find a good market where you have a good, you can launch a product with good margins and good profits, then you want to make sure that your product is the best out of that market. And you do that by differentiation. You do that by having high quality customer service. You do that by ranking your product and doing a very good job. But there's no perfect product. So if you're looking for a perfect product and you're always frustrated, or you're not, you're impatient because you're trying to, you cannot find that perfect product, you have to stop and you have to start looking for a good market, a good niche market, and then create a product that is going to be the best product out of that market. And that's a mistake that I did for a long time, until another coach kind of gave me a kick on the butt and told me, you need to choose, out of these 5, you need to choose one, and you need to launch your first product, because you're wasting time just looking for another product. And you're getting good at finding products, but you're not getting good at going to the next step. So that's very important. I think that's we have to make sure that we understand this point, because if you don't understand this point, you're going to spend a long time trying to find this perfect product, and it's not going to happen. All right. So number 8, a lot of people try to learn everything at once. They don't have, they don't do everything in order, and I think that's one of the good advantage that we have with the coaching program that we have, because we take everything step by step. You have 5 different courses, in the training. You take, one course at a time. You have access to the first course. You have you have access to one course first, and then you have to wait for the next one. So you take everything in order. And this is an issue that I find with a lot of members that I talk to, because if you're starting up and you start watching videos, or you start learning about launching a product and launching strategies and promotions and PPC optimization, but you don't really know how to find a good product on Amazon, it's gonna get overwhelming. You're gonna get overwhelmed. There's gonna be so many questions that you don't really need to worry about that part yet, because the first thing that you need to worry about is about setting up your business, and then start finding potential products, analyzing them, and kind of going through that process. So I think it's very important that we take everything in order. We have a very good setup in the training, where you have access to the specific courses that you need at the beginning, and then we have a step-by-step help and process that you can just take and follow that step. So if you're just starting up and you're still learning how to find potential products, don't worry about launching that product. Worry about understanding and learning exactly how to find potential products, analyze those markets, differentiation, and then move to the next step. If you're launching your product, then you can start, then you can learn about PPC optimization, listing optimization, all of that, because you're already at that stage. And then you can start learning about growing your business, and all of the other things that we have to learn how to grow a business on Amazon. But taking this process step by step and doing it in a way where it's organized is very important. That way we don't get overwhelmed and we don't get discouraged, and we just drop everything and just start looking for something else, another business, because this didn't work. No, it does work, but you got overwhelmed because you were going all over the place. You were trying to learn everything at once. And number 9 is not having a good support system. So a community, coaching, I think that's very important. I always tell the members that I talk to that for me personally, besides all the training that we have, all the videos and everything, the next best thing that we have is the community support. The community that we have, the Facebook group. So you have a Facebook group. You have a one-on-one coaching call when you start up, so you can we can kind of guide you and explain to you everything that we have as part of the process. We have weekly webinars. We have coaching, a hashtag coach for asking questions. So we have a good support system that you have access to. And I think that besides having all the training, I think that's the best thing that you need to have in order to be able to keep moving forward every day. So that's very important. We do have it, and I encourage you guys to use it, to use all of the resources that we have. We join these live webinars as much as you can, every week, every day. Ask questions on the Facebook group. Use hashtag coach, to ask important questions about a topic that you don't understand, or a process that you don't understand. Be active in the Facebook group. Kind of look for other people in the community that are struggling, and if you already know the answer, try to help. That's a very good way to keep that support system alive for the whole community, for people that are behind you and are ahead of you. So having this support, I think is very important. And a lot of people, they try to do it by themselves. They try to just do it by watching videos, but they don't have that access to that support system. And sometimes that can be the differentiation between having a good, successful business and struggling all the time because you don't have access to people, community, to be able to ask questions. So those are the 9 common mistakes that I find, and I found myself doing, all of them, and I've learned to manage and keep moving forward. And I wanted to share that with you guys, so you start 2019 the right way. You understand all of these things that are going to happen. There, and when you see yourself, when you find yourself in any of these places, you remind yourself, okay, I've been looking for so many products. I'm kind of looking for the perfect product. I'm just gonna start understanding and finding a good market, and then I'm gonna move forward. Or I'm gonna ask questions. I'm gonna be active in the community. Or I'm not gonna launch 2 products. I'm gonna spend all of my energy, all of my time, all of my resources, all of my capital in launching 1 product, making sure that product, I get it to the first, first positions, and I'm gonna make sure that when I'm running out of products, I have the next order in place, so I don't run out of products. So if you implement all of these, different things, and you try to avoid all of these mistakes, you're gonna have a 2019 that is gonna be the best year ever. You're gonna launch your products. You're going to be very successful and start having success with Amazon. So let's do some Q&A. I'm going to go back to my screen and see if you guys have any questions. So let me see. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And let's see what you guys think about, if you guys have any questions, if you guys agree with me, if you have found yourself in this situation, or if you have any questions on how to avoid any other situation where you feel that you're stuck and you cannot get ahead, or you cannot find yourself moving ahead. So let's see if you guys can hear me. It looks like the computer is the webinar is stuck. So let me see. Let me just refresh my screen to see if you guys were able to watch the whole presentation. Okay, so I see Debra. Hello, Debra from Richmond, Virginia. Um, Shane Green, great job. Good. Okay, okay. I think I can see you guys. And yeah, I think those are very good points that we need to understand. We need to know because it's gonna happen. You're gonna get excited, and you're gonna find yourself in one of those situations, or more situations. I know I've done all of them because every time one person asks me, can you tell me what? Can you give me advice on what things I should avoid, or what things I should do or not do? I have my whole list of things. Make sure that you don't do this. Make sure that you don't do that. So I wanted to share that with you guys, so that you guys have that information, and you at least you are aware that some of those things are going to happen, and you want to try to avoid them so you can keep moving forward. So Anthony said, I'm sorry, Anatoly says, do you recommend private labeling instead of product arbitrage? Well, I think both arbitrage and private label are good business models. They're different. Arbitrage takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work intensive. You have to be looking for products all the time. You have to be sending products all the time, and always finding new products. So it takes time to kind of do that process. But the cash flow is a lot faster. You can start very small with a few units and start increasing that inventory. The difference with private label is that on private label you spend a lot of time at the beginning researching, finding those potential products, analyzing those markets, and then making a good high quality product, good differentiation. And then once you launch a product, you can scale very fast. We have members of the community that after launching the product, within the first few months, they go to $10,000, $20,000 in sales. And that's very common with with a lot of members that follow the process and do everything step by step. So you can scale very fast with private label, but it takes longer to kind of see that cash flow and see profits. With arbitrage, it's you can start small, you can scale up, and you can see more cash flow faster. So one thing that I've done personally is I started with arbitrage, and I still do arbitrage. About 80% of my business is still arbitrage. I'm doing private label, but it's still about 20% of my business. So and that's where arbitrage is here and private label is here. I want to be able to go the other way, and have 80% of my business or 90% of my business do private label, and then do a little bit of arbitrage. But they're both good business models. And what a lot of people do is they start doing arbitrage to start getting that cash flow, so a little bit of profit, and maybe using that profit to launch your private labels, your private label products. So you can do that. You can start with arbitrage. You're gonna get cash flow faster. It's not easy. It's not one is easy and the other one is not. Both of them have their own learning curve. Both of them have their own set of things that you need to learn. But a lot of people, they start with arbitrage. They start getting cash flow. Some people, they even quit their jobs and do arbitrage. They get to the point where they can do arbitrage 100%, and then start launching private label products. So I hope that helps. Anatoly G. Ori says, we receive a niche that has over 28 competitors but good margins. Should I look into it and differentiate, or look for another niche? Our main criteria, we try to be between 3 and 20 competitors. But if you're 21, 28, it's not a lot. And the main reason why we try to stay within 20 competitors or less is because if you notice, when you search for any term, any keyword on Amazon, sometimes you're gonna get 16 results, and sometimes you're gonna get 24 results. So you want to be in the top 20 because you want to be able to show up in the first page, and maybe in the second page. But if you have 20 strong competitors and they're all showing up on the first page, then you don't have enough. There's not enough room for another competitor on the first page. So you have to fight between first and second page with the competitors. But if you have, let's say, 15 competitors, and they're all strong and they're all showing up on the first page for the keywords that you're trying to focus on, if you're this number 16, you're still gonna show up on the first page, and then you have to fight for the first top 5 positions. So that's kind of the way that I try to think about the strong competition. If you have 28 strong competitors, you want to analyze all of them and see if there's ways for you to compete with them. Where are they? Ranking on the keywords that I'm interested, or that I want to focus my listing on at the beginning? If all of them, if some of them are in the second page, and then some other listings that are not really good competitors or strong competitors are on the first page, then I know I have a good chance of maybe beating all of these not strong competitors and showing up on the first page. So you do have to do that research, and then once you find 5 keywords that you want to focus your listing, when you're creating your listing, you're gonna notice that sometimes on one keyword there's 20 competitors, but some of them are different from other keywords. So at the end, you always want to have a lot of competition, but you want to make sure that when you analyze those keywords on Amazon, that you're trying to be within 20, or less than 20. But 28 it doesn't sound too much. You just have to learn. You just have to know, out of these 28 strong competitors, if there's any way for you to be able to compete with them, and maybe use some other keywords that they're not really ranking or not focusing on those keywords for you to rank those keywords. Anatoly says, to raise the capital, I'm planning to open a new company as a sole proprietorship with an EIN, and do the product arbitrage. And then next year, deviate to LLC. Is this a good strategy? Yeah, well, you can start as a sole proprietor, and just start selling. It doesn't matter if it's a private label or if it's arbitrage products. Amazon, the way that they do it is before you do 200 transactions or $20,000 in sales, they're not going to give you a 1099. So if you do less than that, then they're not going to give you a 1099. So you can do either $20,000 or $19,000 in sales, or less than 200 transactions, and they're not going to give you any 1099 form. Now, when you start selling as a sole proprietor and you start selling arbitrage products, you can get to $8,000 before they send you an email recommending that you move to a business entity. But mainly is because you wanna be able to it's more for tax protection, and to be able to declare expenses and do taxes as a business, so you can deduct expenses and things like that. But Amazon, it's gonna allow you to start selling as a sole proprietor with your individual information, and then just whenever you're ready, you can just change it and then keep selling arbitrage, or start doing private label as well. Again, once you do do change, I recommend to do an LLC. That's going to give you the most protection for taxes and the IRS and all that. Arun says, Amazon is splitting my shipment of 500 units into 3 fulfillment centers. How do I deal with this? There are splitting into random numbers. Yeah, sometimes they do that, and there's two ways that you can do it. One way is um, it's not 100% sure that it's going to work, but one way that you can do it is you can cancel that shipment and start create a new shipment. And then once you create a new shipment, uh, they might, they might, when you process that new shipment, they might tell you, to send it to just one location. And sometimes you have to do it a few times before you kind of get that. But if you keep getting that there, the if you keep getting multiple locations for your shipment, what happens is that based on the kind of product that you want to sell, they want they know where there's more demand, or what states they sell that kind of product most. So they want to be able to distribute it in a way where when you send that product and it goes to the warehouse, then they can start selling right away, or they have the product closest to the customer. So sometimes that's going to happen. If you want to avoid that, there's an option inside your seller central that is called shipment placement. I think it's a shipment placement service. And what it does is once you turn that on, Amazon is gonna give you just one location, and they're gonna send everything to that one location. The only problem, or the only thing that you need to know about the product placement service is that when Amazon, the good thing is that you're gonna be able to send all the shipment from China to Amazon to one warehouse. The only problem is that once Amazon receives that product on the warehouse, they're gonna say, okay, out of these 600 units or 500 units, I need 100 units in California, I need another 200 units in Florida, and they're gonna ship everything, but they're gonna charge you a fee for moving that inventory. That's why you either want to do it yourself at the beginning and just do the three different shipments, or you can have them do it, but you'll end up paying shipping for all of them. And sometimes I had one time product placement turn on, and I end up spending about $110 more that if I would have just have my supplier uh, do the separate warehouse, and then you send it to them. But since you're talking about bringing a product from China, most likely to the US, you might want to just try and close the shipments and try to create a new one until you get one that it tells you to send it to everything to one location. Or if you turn on the product placement service, then they'll do it, but you're gonna have to pay a little bit more for the internal shipping that is gonna happen. Okay. Alex says, on average, how many products do just one time members launch before finding one that remains profitable? It really depends on you, on how good you understand the process, and how some people, it takes them two products, three products, the third product it's profitable. Some people the first product. And I always like to tell this story of one of our members. I met her on the Summit 2018 this year in Vegas. It took her 9 months to launch her first product. So, it took her a little while to, understand, and she was always asking questions, and she was always active in the community, asking questions. It took her a little while to, not the regular average time to launch her product, but I think she started at the beginning of the year 2017. She launched on September, and if you go back on Facebook enough, you're gonna see on September she posted that she launched her product. I think October she did like $6,000. November she did a little bit more. In December she sold $100,000 in 1 month. First product ever. It took her a long time to launch her product because it took her a long time to understand everything and kind of move to that whole process. But the first product was a very successful product. I think now she has two products, and she keeps posting, from time to time. She keeps on posting her numbers, so she's doing great. Now she has a second product, and now she's selling in the UK. So it really depends on the person, on how fast you can understand, how fast you can go through the process, and also how detailed are you on spending the time on research, on spending the time on differentiation, and packaging, having great pictures. So it takes a lot of work. That's why we always recommend just focus on one product, learn the process, understand everything that needs to be done. Then once you have a good profitable product working, then focus on the second one. And if you kind of do that process, most of the people, most members, I see having good success. Maybe not a home run where you're sending $50,000 a month in 2 months, but something that it starts low, but then you get rankings, you get position, and you establish that listing, and you start getting sales enough to have profit, and then keep building from that. But again, the first product might not be as successful, and then you work on a second product. You keep working on the first product to optimize it. Maybe the second, you learn a little bit more, you understand more the system and the process better, and you're able to do a better job with that. But I would recommend just focus on the first one, focus on that one, and then work that one, and have enough a patient to work with that before you look for a second product. G. Ori says, I would like to fire my boss. How do I do arbitrage and be able to quit my job? Any advice? Well, on arbitrage, the secret to do arbitrage is really having a big inventory. Having a lot of inventory. Number one. Number two is having, I call it high quality products, but I don't mean the quality of the actual product, the quality of the product. But what I'm talking about is high quality for me means having very low ranks, having good profit margin. And it's funny because I was talking to somebody a few days ago, and we were talking about arbitrage, and he was telling me, I find a lot of products, but that have very good profit margin, very very good ROI. 80% ROI, 120% ROI, and that's great. But my numbers I'm selling very good, but my profits are very small. And so I was kind of asking him, what is your profit per item average? And we were looking at his stats, I noticed that his average profit for the whole year per item was $25. So in my case, my profit margin for per item is 46 or $47 per item. So while he's finding very good profit margins, 80%, 100%, maybe on that item that is 100% ROI, the profit is only $3. And I'm finding products that my ROI is 40 or 50%, but the profit, the actual amount is $15 in profit for each product. So I'm looking for a higher price ticket product instead of a low ticket product. And if we were able to compare the same sales with a higher profit amount, your profit is going to be a lot higher. So we were talking about it, and he was like, oh my God, I never thought about that. So now I told him, don't focus on trying to double your sales. Focus on making the same sales, but increasing your profit margin per unit. So instead of $25 per unit, that's the average price for each, the price for sale for each unit. Try to bring it to 45 or 50 or higher. The higher the number, the more profit you're gonna have as an amount. I hope that helps. But in reality, it's just understanding that, and if you need help with that, we have on the main YouTube channel. We have a lot of videos where we explain. We have another training, especially for arbitrage. You guys get a discount, and you can see that on your on the on your welcome email and on the welcome page on the members area. But that's the main thing for me. All I'm looking is to increase my inventory. The more inventory I have, the more sales I'm gonna make, and trying to make sure I have high quality products, meaning low ranks, high profit margins, and that's it. That's pretty much all you need to understand in a nutshell. But make sure that you understand all of that as you move and start doing arbitrage. All right. Anatoly says, I wonder if you provide product arbitrage training or just private label. Yes, we do have an arbitrage mastermind training. I'm not sure if I can put the link here. I'm gonna try to put the link here. But for you guys that you are members of the private label, you do have a coupon. I think it's a $50 coupon code. If you wanna use it, and you can ask us by email if you guys wanna get that coupon. And usually it's gonna be on your welcome email, or it's also if you go to the members area on the welcome. If you go all the way down, you'll see that Seth mentions the arbitrage training and also the coupon in there. Okay, Alex says, I've been doing arbitrage, and the most important part for me is finding a wholesale liquidator nearby to buy pallets of products for cheap that have demand. If you have experience and if you learn how to do liquidation and wholesale and pallets, you can do that. But in my experience, I have done liquidation, I have done pallets, I have done wholesale, and first you need to have a lot of space, and you need to sort a lot of things. And most of the time, I find myself being able to get only about, I would say about 70% of that product. It's good product for Amazon, and the other 25% you either have to sell it on eBay, or you have to find a way to sell it on different platforms. So doing liquidation, pallets, and wholesale. Well, wholesale is a little bit different because you do want to find wholesale products that are selling, but then you got, instead of buying 2-3 units of one product, you have to buy 50 or 100 to be able to make sense, because the wholesale profit margins are very, very small. But if you do liquidation or if you do pallets, you do have a good profit margin, but a lot of product it's not 100% of everything. You're gonna be able to sell it, especially if you do open box liquidation or open box pallets. A lot of things, they're broken, and you can sell used items on Amazon for a lot of categories, but you cannot sell. You have to make sure that everything is in a properly working condition, and a lot of things. So it's a possibility. Alex, I will recommend you start doing arbitrage, retail arbitrage, or start doing online arbitrage, where you sell brand new products. You sell products with very low ranks and high profits, and then you can start expanding to liquidation and all of that. But that's going to require an extra learning curve to kind of understand how liquidation and all of that works. Anatoly says, while doing the product arbitrage, should I stay in one niche? Yes, but for me, the best thing to do when you're starting up is you want to start trying to sell everything you can find, because at the beginning you're gonna be restricted for a lot of different products. So you do want to start trying to sell, groceries, trying to sell beauty, anything that you can find, clothes, shoes, toys, and then once you start making those sales, what I recommend is start looking at what you're selling. So if you were able to send 50 items to Amazon, and then once you start getting those sales, then you say, okay, I send a lot of different products, all mixed products from different categories. So I sold a toy. So now I'm gonna go and gonna look for that same toy and see if I can still send more, and and have enough profit. And I'm gonna start sending toys. And I'm gonna go look for other toys, something similar, something maybe from the same brand that I'm able to find. And then if you sell something from home and kitchen, or home improvement, or automotive, then you start looking for those. So you start broad, you start everything you can find, and then you can start niching down to one or two categories, or one or two kinds of products, where then once you find your niche, then you focus on that. For me, when I started selling everything I could find, and then very fast, I started seeing that all of the shoes that I was sending, they were selling and having good margins. So I started focusing on shoes, and I've sold over 10,000 pair of shoes in the last 3 years on Amazon. So now I'm a sales shoeman or a shoe salesman. But that was the niche that we found: shoes and clothing. We try to sell everything we can find, but the 90% of our inventory is shoes, clothing, and that's what sells for us. But then, Saad Basim, another coach and arbitrage expert, he all he sells is toys, and I cannot find any toys that have good profit, and he sells toys where he gets $50, $60 profit on one toy. So you really have to find your niche, and understand that market. Of course, he has two kids, so he knows what kind of toys are popular, and a lot of things that I don't have because I don't have kids. So it's really exciting once you start learning and understanding, because there's so many things that you can sell over and over. Like a subcategory or a niche. If you find that, then you can just focus on that and grow your business from there. Um, Alex says we have a local action with this. Oh yeah, I mean, if you learn how to do liquidation and pallets and all that, and you have a place locally where you can, where you can get good products and enough products with good margins, where it's worth buying a pallet, and then your profits are good. Then you can buy pallets, and like I said, I've done it, and I actually one time I remember I went to LA. I have family that lives in San Fernando Valley, so I went to LA. We went to a trading company, and I think, yeah, that's the one the one you mentioned. That's the one I went. I bought 4 pallets, and it took me almost 2 years to get rid of all the stuff. Of course, I did sold a lot of stuff very fast. I had profits, but a lot of things we end up, just we actually took a lot of products from California. We sent them to Guatemala, and then in Guatemala we just gave it away. So I mean, you do have to learn and be able to understand, how much of that inventory is going to be sellable, and how much of that inventory you're going to have to discard or maybe sell somewhere else. But if your numbers, if your profits are good, if your margins are good, and the numbers make sense for you, then you can scale. And I know a lot of people that all they do is liquidation. All they do is pallets, and brand new pallets, or open box, and they do great. So yeah, you can do that. G. Ori says, I have purchased from Via Trading before, and I'm in Oregon, so the shipping is high. Yes, that's why I was talking to the agents on at this place, but I was in Atlanta, so I decided I'm gonna go to California, and I'm gonna spend time with the family and then work. So when we went there, we actually purchased everything, took everything from my brother's house, and we spent like 4 days packing and sorting and trying to figure it out. But it was about 75% of that inventory that I was able to send to Amazon, and then for some products it just took me a long time, of requesting that product back, waiting a few months, and then sending everything back because a lot of things have no rank, a lot of things have a very high rank. So it's a mix of everything. And if you focus on keep moving that inventory, growing that inventory, it might make sense. But just for 4 pallets, for me, it was a lot of work. It wasn't worth, everything that took. But again, if you're close by and if you get access to good products, then it's a good business model. There are some gems, yes, and yes, like I said, um, it's not a friend of mine, but I know him. He sells, and that's all he does: liquidation pallets. And same thing, about 25% of the inventory is just trash. But one time, he told me that he found um, one pallet that came with toys and home things, little things on top. They had a I don't remember what, but it was something, like home improvement. It wasn't worth. And then once they opened, they found a lot of laptops inside, and it was like really, really expensive computers, and they were able to get good money out of it. So it happens. There's a lot of things that happen, and if you have the space, and if you have the time to do that model, yeah, it's you're gonna be able to find, and you have access to a lot of product, and be able to send a lot of product to Amazon. But for me, the main thing is if you're sending products to Amazon, make sure that they're good quality. All right, Alex. So I don't know if anybody else has any questions. I hope you guys were able to learn something, and at least have all of this in mind, and be aware of all of these mistakes that people do, so you can avoid this next year. But if you guys don't have any other questions, I just want to thank you for being here, and I want to wish you happy New Year. I hope you guys enjoy with your family, and spend a good time with your family. And I hope to see you guys here next year, and keep crushing it, and keep learning, and keep growing your Amazon business. So again, guys, thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next Monday. Take care. Bye bye.